Good morning, everybody. Hope you guys are doing well today. And we've got another prediction video for the upcoming 2023 season. And today we are doing special teams. Cannot forget about the special teams. We're going to be doing kind of special teams from every possible angle here. And that means we're going to be doing our newly minted high-paid kicker. We're going to be doing our somewhat recently minted high-paid punter. We're going to be talking returns. We're going to be talking return coverage a little bit as well. And by the end of this video, we'll have a pretty good idea for how I feel our special teams unit is going to shape up in 2023. So let's go ahead and get underway here. I don't think I need to explain things much more than that. Pretty easy to capture how good a punter or kicker is with numbers, by the way. So these numbers should it should be pretty crystal clear how good I think these guys are going to be. So let's start with Jason Myers, our kicker, who signed a long-term extension this most recent offseason. Coming off a really good season. Really, really good. Basically didn't do anything wrong until the last 2 weeks of the season. Hit a 61-yarder in the postseason to give us a lead going into halftime. He was great. So we gave him some money. How is he going to respond to that? Let's go down the list here. Let's start with the chip shot field goals here. I say he goes 6 for 6 on field goals of 20 to 29 yards. I don't think he takes any inside of that. I think NFL teams have pretty much learned that if you have the ability to kick like a 19-yard field goal, then you should probably go for it. So you don't see very many 19, 18-yard field goals anymore. So 6 for 6 from short distance on his field goals. And then we go over to 30 to 39, the more moderately lengthened field goals. And I say 14 for 15. Pretty good number of kicks in this range, just kind of the median area of field goal kicks. I say he misses one, but 14 for 15 is pretty good. Definitely works. And then you move on to the longer range kicks. You've got 40 to 49 yards. I say he goes 7 for 9. So good accuracy. Definitely way better than either of the lackluster seasons he's had so far in Seattle. Not perfect, but really solid, effective, good enough. Shouldn't be costing you a lot if he's making 7 of 9 from this range. And maybe most interestingly, from long distance, the really long distance, 50 to 59, I say he goes 5 for 7. He's proven he has that leg. So you put all this together, and I have him going 32 of 37. I have him missing 5 field goals. Last year he missed 3, so this season would not be quite as good as the season he just had, but it would be a good season. I think we would all pretty happily live with 32 of 37. Especially because I think most of us expect this offense to be really good in 2023. So field goals will hopefully become kind of more of a bonus thing rather than a must-have thing. So 32 of 37 for his field goals. For extra points, I said 48 of 50. I think he misses 2. I think we score about 50 touchdowns this year, by the way, if you add it up. I had 34 passing, 15 rushing, and then 1 defensive touchdown. So that's how you get to 50, and I say he makes 48 of them. At some point, he's going to miss one. It seems like every kicker in the league gets, at some point, just misses 1 or 2 during the season, so sure. But that's pretty good. And on kickoffs, I'm going to give him a touchback. This is the one area where Myers didn't do so well last year, but he's proven he can do well in the past. The NFL's changing rules, by the way, to make touchbacks a little more common. So I think his touchback rate on kickoffs gets up to 57%. Much better than last year. The rule changes helps, but I also think he's going to do better on his touchback. So that might not be best kicker in the league material, but it's putting you in range of the Pro Bowl. So this would be a good season for Myers. No real problems here. All right, now we move along to Michael Dickson, our punter. What is he going to do for us in 2023? What do I have for Michael Dickson? So I have 62 total punts, which is a few less than he had last year. It's very close. I think we're going to have a really good offense, so he's not going to punt quite as much. But we had a good offense last year, so it shouldn't be a huge difference. So I say 62 punts from Michael Dickson over the course of the season. I'm going to give him a average on his punts of 48.2 yards, a little bit less than last year, like not even a yard less. So very similar, 48.2. And for his net, which is the more important thing, I went with 43.9. We lost some guys on our special teams unit that we depended on in previous years. Guys like Travis Homer are gone. I think that a guy like a Joey Blunt may not make the 53 man for most games, which means he's in his own way gone. Nick Ballore is a year older. So I feel like the coverage unit won't be quite as good as last year, but it's going to be really close. So I'm going to go with 43.9, which is slightly less than he did last year in terms of his net. And I also think he's going to put it into the end zone 5 times. He doesn't usually put the ball into the end zone on his punts, but every now and then it's going to happen. So I went with 5 touchbacks total. And I say he's going to plant 24 kicks inside the 20, which is roughly in line with what he's done in previous seasons. Would be really good. That's basically a little short of 1.5 punts inside the 20 per game. Again, he's not going to get a ton of opportunities to punt. It's not going to be like 2 years ago when he was punting the ball like, what was it, 80 plus times that year or something. I don't think that's going to happen. And you know what? He's going to botch one punt. One punt at some point in their season. Last year he had 2. I think they were technically counted as blocks, but he made mistakes on a couple punts. Didn't get the kickoff. I think he's got 1 in him for that this season. So that's Michael Dickson. Another really good season, might make the Pro Bowl. I don't know if this is best punter in the league stuff, but it's very close if it's not. So I think we're going to get good stuff out of both of our key special teamers. Now let's move to the next guy to be considered, Kenny McIntosh. And this one is difficult, right? Because we're trying to figure out who's going to be returning kicks and punts. Right now, I think the Seahawks don't have a great idea of who that guy is going to be. So I'm just going to guess who I think is going to be returning kicks and punts this year. I'm going to say Kenny McIntosh does some of the work there. So Kenny McIntosh, I have him having a lot of kick returns this year. Most of the ones that we have, I'm going to say he gets 22 kick returns, and that's how he makes his rookie year contributions to this team. I don't think there's a ton of room for him on the offense, so I'm going to say he gets on the field this way, and I'm going to say he gets 527 kick return yards. Remember, there are going to be fewer kick returns than usual because of the new rules, but there are going to be some. And of the sum, I think Kenny McIntosh can get over 500 kick return yards. So, hey, that'd be a nice way for him to contribute as a rookie, just finding some way to get onto the field, some way to make a positive impact on this team. All right, next guy we're going to look at here is DJ Dallas. There isn't going to be as much for him to do on offense this year if people stay healthy. So he's another guy who needs to find his way onto the field. Special teams is a great way to do it. So I think he ends up taking a little bit of action on kick returns and a little bit of action on punt returns. I think he does both. I gave him 6 kick returns. I think maybe he fills in for McIntosh a couple times over the course of the season. Maybe McIntosh gets hurt. So DJ gets 6 kick returns, and I am going to give him 137 kick return yards. I don't think anybody gets a touchdown. It's pretty hard to return a kick for a touchdown these days. You just don't see it that often. I feel like teams don't have a lot of practice doing it anymore because it's become so rare. But I think he'll be an adequate kick returner in line with what he was last year in terms of average. And then I also think he's going to get a little bit of action on punt returns because my planned punt returner is somebody who's probably not going to play every game. So I'm going to give DJ Dallas 7 punt returns, and I'm going to give him 68 return yards. So he did do okay with punt returns last year. He didn't break off any big ones. He didn't do anything over the top amazing, but when we needed him, he went out there. He did fine. And I have a feeling we're going to call on him again this season because this next guy I'm going to talk about is, I think, going to be our primary punt returner, but I don't think he's going to be doing all that much. And I don't think he's going to be able to stay on the field for all 17 games. I'm talking about D'Wayne Eskridge. And I think this is how D'Wayne Eskridge manages to get on the field consistently for the Seahawks in 2023. I don't think there are going to be enough reps for him as a receiver to do a ton. So I'm going to say he finds his way onto the field as a punt returner primarily. And I'm going to give him 11 punt returns. Again, you don't see that many punt returns in the modern NFL. Maybe 1 a game for a team on average. So I'm going to say he gets most of them. I'm going to say he gets 11. I'm going to give him 112 punt return yards. I'm going to say he busts 1 big one. And when I say big one, I don't mean a touchdown. I mean like, a 30-yarder or something. I'm going to give him 1. And then he's going to miss some games, and then DJ gets to pick up the ones that he leaves behind. That's going to be my prediction here. Again, it's really hard to know who we're actually going to use here. There are a couple other guys on this team who could end up returning kicks and punts, by the way, but these are my best guesses. McIntosh gets most of the kick returns. Eskridge gets most of the punt returns. Dallas picks up whatever's left over on both of those fronts between those two. Feel pretty good about that. Finally, final thing we're going to look at here will be Mr. Nick Bellore. I have him penciled in pretty easily as our leader in special teams tackles. He was our leader by a lot last season. I'm going to give him 17 special teams tackles. 1 more than last year because we lost Travis Homer, and we may kind of end up losing, in a way, Joey Blunt. They were our second and third leading special teams tacklers. So I think Bellore has a little more on his plate this season. So I think he gets up to 17, which is 1 a game. And that'll pretty easily lead the team. And that's it for my special teams predictions. Let me know what you guys think down below. I don't think I'm saying anything too over-the-top crazy here. I think the main source of debate is who is going to be returning kicks and punts. This is my guess, but it could go many different ways here. We might end up putting Lockett out there to just fair catch every punt because our offense should be really good. We may put DJ Dallas back there because we know he's not going to fumble and he's not going to do anything too stupid. I don't know. Could go many, many different ways. But these are my special teams predictions. Let me know what you guys got down below. I will see you guys later. We got 1 more video in this series, and then we're basically at the end of July, and we're basically at the point where things are going to start happening in the NFL world. I'm excited. If you're watching this video, you're probably excited. See you guys later. Go Hawks. 1 more prediction video, and then we are off to the races almost.